Jonathan Edwards, author of the sermon Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, and approved by so many Calvinists, say, you can only get saved if God elects you to be saved. If He did not elect you to be saved, you're not going to get saved. Now, why did God elect only to save a very few and damn over 3/4 of the humanity? Jonathan Edwards said this was because this is the delight the redeemed. He does this because He loves the redeemed. He wants the redeemed to see, the massive sea of humanity so few of them were plucked out of, to show to them how great God's love for them is. On a side note, if I'm one of those elect, what would show God's love to me more than anything else, even more than that, would be if He saved every one of those damned in the lake of fire. I want that more. And that's right to want that more. So, these Calvinists say God glorifies Himself. John Calvin, the murderer, the theologian said, God glorifies Himself, gets the glory in your damnation and destruction. But what I don't understand, God says, as I live, God swears by His own name. As I live, I had no pleasure at all in the death of the wicked. At all. Do you know what "at all" means? Of course, I don't know if it means that in Greek, not in Hebrew. What the original Old Testament was written. I had no pleasure at all in the death of the wicked. Here's what I think. God wants all people to be saved. But if they're not saved, it is to His glorification that you be punished, because it shows how pure and holy and right God is, and that God alone is life, and God is a jealous God. I'm so ugly. But that's only as a last resort. God wants everybody. He grieves over the lost. I hope He does, anyways, of the damned. But it is to His glory that, if you're not going to be saved, you're going to be damned. All things work for bad for them who don't love God. When God does something good for even the unelect, He does it out of a heart of love. But if you don't get saved, it turns to God's glory that you pay for the squandered opportunity. Because God is holy, pure. But if this be the case, God has no death in the pleasure of the wicked. Why in the hell is Jonathan Edwards preaching that God purposefully chooses by default to damn the vast majority of the human race because it is to His pleasure to show the redeemed that they were plucked out of a sea of humanity destined to destruction, so that He can show, hey, this is how much I love you. I let the vast majority of the human race be damned in the lake of fire to show you how much I love you. Again, I say, if you truly love me, God, save those damned. All things are for with God nothing shall be impossible. If you not save the damned, that's one thing you can't do, God. And are you really even God? And why does Jonathan Edwards not know this? That when Job's friends said the wrong thing about God, God was about to destroy them, but Job prayed for them. My question is, Jonathan Edwards and John Calvin, if they're speaking the wrong thing about God, is God going to let them skate and get away with it? Not even have to answer to Him for for their speaking wrong about him, all because they love God? Is God gonna let them just sweep it under the rug? Say, oh, I died for that. You don't have to ask for that. Man, I wish I was a good looking guy. I wish I had the long forms. Sometimes I want to kill myself, but I'm too chicken shit to do that.